So, hi everyone and welcome to my channel. Special warm welcome if you're brand new here. My name's KiwiSimsKate. Kiwi because I'm from New Zealand, Sims because I love The Sims, and Kate because that's my name. This is another build that I created over on my stream. If you want to join us over there, I don't only build there, but we do some gameplay. Sometimes I dip into Kaz. Sometimes, believe it or not, I play other games other than The Sims 4. So you can come and join our little community over on Twitch, or even stream here on YouTube, but that's under my second account, which is KiwiSimsKate. So today's build is a grandparents' house, and I'm building this in the world of Brindleton Bay, as you may or may not be able to tell, just beside the vet clinic, I believe. I really like this little lot. I just love this whole neighborhood area in Brindleton Bay. In fact, probably Brindleton Bay is in my top, certainly my top 5 worlds, maybe even my top 3. Yeah, it's very wholesome, I guess I would say. So great for kind of family gameplay. And this build is a 3-bedroom plus a kind of half room, I guess, or it's a very small room. You could get probably like not an infant's room, but maybe a nursery out of it, or probably best used as a study. But the way I've decorated it is just as a storeroom. So I think it's only like a 2x3 room, or it might be a 3x3 upstairs, and it's just where these Sims just store all their junk and their Christmas decorations or holiday decorations, and anything else that they don't really tend to use anymore. So the idea I had with this home, I had a pretty clear storyline going into building this, and that's often how I like to create, particularly with residential houses in The Sims 4. I tend to start with some kind of storyline in my head, because it just helps me decorating the home when I have an idea of who I'm decorating it for. So I really wanted to build a home that was for a set of grandparents, or perhaps it's just a single grandparent. But I wanted this house to reflect that these grandparents had lived here probably since they first got married. So many years ago, this would have been their first home they purchased together when they were young and either about to get married or just had got married in the olden days. And they had raised their 2 children here. And then their children now bring their children to stay at this home with the grandparents in Brindleton Bay. Perhaps both of their kids have moved off into different worlds and more kind of city life. But their children, so the grandchildren, still come back and stay with the grandparents, particularly through holidays, when they're not at school, and that kind of thing. So the house has 3 bedrooms. There's one main bedroom, which is on the ground floor, and it's got an ensuite, and it's pretty sizable. That is where I imagined the grandparents would live, or that's where their room is, and the room they've always had for this house. And then upstairs there's 2 smaller bedrooms, and that's where their children's rooms were. And I don't know if it comes across in the build itself, but the idea I had when I decorated it was that the grandparents still kept many of their children's toys and decorations in the room, furnishings, furniture, all of that kind of stuff from when their kids were young. So when the grandchildren come and visit, they're actually staying in the rooms of their parents when their parents were kids. Everything's meant to look just ever so slightly more old-fashioned, not quite modern, as if it was probably a good, 25 to 30 years old. So that's the story that I had. Obviously, if you do want to download this build and use it in your game, and you have a different story in mind, I'd love to hear that. So do let me know. This will be up on the gallery. It is CC free. And it is not pack restricted, I believe. So I did use a number of different packs to create this build. Right now, I'm putting together the kitchen, which you just basically walk straight into the front door to the kitchen. There's not really a separate entrance area or entrance hall. I wanted to keep this house kind of on the smallish side, slightly cramped. Feel like it would be quite a bustling type of family home. So straight into the kitchen, and the kitchen's a busy place. It's probably where the Sims spend most of their time, coming in and out the front door, baking, cooking. I think one of the grandparents loves to bake. And they also love gardening. They're kind of a pretty traditional, stereotypical set of grandparents, I would say, or at least from what I know. So they love all the old people stuff. And I say that with love because I'm getting on as well, and I'm starting to love some of these things as well. So gardening, baking, I've placed some pet objects in this home as well. Being Brindleton Bay, I thought it would not be right to leave out the pets. So there's some food bowls and some cat scratching towers. So I imagined that they had probably one cat, but they've maybe had several cats through the years, and maybe they also feed some of the local stray cats, perhaps. So out the front door and the front porch is actually 2 food bowls, and then inside the house there's some cat objects as well. So I'm just laying out the upstairs now, and as you can see, I've got the 2 bedrooms up there with kind of older-ish, childlike wallpaper, and that little storage room at the end upstairs, and a family bathroom. And then downstairs, there's this little bump out in the side, just behind the stairs, which has got an additional toilet and sink, and a laundry space beside it as well. I think this is even though this is a smallish home, there is there's plenty of bathrooms. So 3 bedrooms, but there are 2.5 bathrooms. So 3 toilets and 2 full-sized bathrooms, one as an ensuite downstairs and one upstairs. And the living room is kind of, it's not particularly big. Out here in the front, I just moved on to the landscaping. I wanted to get a sense of how the house will come together from the curbside, what its curb appeal was going to be like. Again, as I was imagining this, these grandparents were really into their gardening. They take great pride in their gardening skills, and particularly what their house looks like from the front. I did add a few sort of cracks and fading pieces on the house, and little kind of rips in the wallpaper here and there, just to make it look like it was an older home. And even though these grandparents still have, a lot of pride in their home, their house is getting older and it has been well loved and well lived in. So I thought that still worked quite well. And then in the front, there's lots of landscaping. Obviously, had to use these hydrangeas because they just look so old-fashioned and just how I imagine grandparent gardens to be. And this beautiful, I think it must be like a cherry tree or something, this blossom tree just above the set of swings, which again, those set of swings would be old. They would have been there since the grandparents' children were young. And maybe even I chose this particular swatch of swing set because I thought maybe even the grandfather built the swing set when he was younger for his children, and now his grandchildren use it too. I don't know if I've ever used this, but that little cat letterbox is so cute, and I really enjoyed using it here. In the front porch, we've got just somewhere to sit, and as I said, we've got the cat bowls or pet bowls as well. You could easily swap out some of the cat items on the inside of the house if you preferred your Sims to have a dog. And then I was just adding a few more details to the exterior. Again, just wanting this place to feel really lived in, really cherished, and a lot has happened. This is a house that has so many stories to tell and so many memories that have been shared here through multiple generations. And I wanted that to be reflected in the personality and the look of the exterior. Don't know if you noticed, but the roof of the house, I wanted to add dormers, but I didn't want to add the pre-built dormers from the build menu because there aren't that many of them, and I didn't like... none of the ones that we have were quite right for what I wanted, and it didn't really give me the look I wanted. So I was so glad I was building this on stream because my wonderful community helped me troubleshoot some building difficulties I was having. I was really struggling with trying to get these dormers right, and in the end I used a combination of half walls and also this technique where there's like a floating room in the air right now at the back of the house. That's there. That'll disappear by the time I'm finished the build, but that's there to help me place a roof piece on each of those dormers that I used with half walls, because you can't, normally by default, you can't place a roof on half wall room or half walls. It just doesn't work like that, not in the kind of normal way that you would place a roof on a room. So there is a trick, a little hack that you can use, which I did use here. I think it's in the recording, but I get to it a little bit later because I did try it to begin with and I couldn't get it to work, and then it was frustrating me, and then I just kind of gave up, and I was like, okay, I'm going to come back to this later. So I do go back to it, and it does work, and I hope that when you download this build, everything looks like it should. And if it doesn't, I'll be really annoyed, but never mind. You can let me know if you download it and what those dormers end up looking like. Then I move on to the backyard. This is not particularly common for me to finish all the landscaping before I move inside and do all the interior decorating. Obviously, I've done the kitchen, but then I pivoted a bit and I came outside. I was just excited about creating this garden. I had a real vision in my head about who lived here, and the garden itself was a really big part of that and a big part of their story. I think they love to spend a lot of time outside in the backyard or even on their front porch, just watching kind of what's going on with the neighbors. Maybe they're a little bit nosy. I think we have that trait now, don't we? Nosy. I can't remember if we got it with royalty and legacy or if it was like a bonus trait if you completed one of the events. I can't remember, but I'm fairly certain there's now a nosy trait. And I think that would be perfect for either one or both of these grandparents. Because for the most part, as I was saying, the Sims I imagine live here. They live here alone for most of the year, but every now and then they would have their grandparents coming to, sorry, not their grandparents, their grandchildren coming to stay during holiday time and things. So in the backyard, I also added this slide that we got with Adventure Awaits. I love that there's this older rusty looking swatch. So that was perfect here because, again, I imagine that is a toy or an activity that they've had since their children were kids. And then finally, this is me fixing these roof pieces. I don't delete that floating room just yet at this stage because I know from experience that working with things on the roof, like roof decorations and stuff, they tend to disappear if you kind of play around with other things, particularly upstairs. And so I just thought I'll keep it there for now, and then when I'm finished with the build, I can delete it. There's no rush. So just to save me some pain later of having to redo everything. And then also in the backyard, I've placed an outdoor dining area with this closed umbrella, which is not functional. So I just like the look of it. I think it came with my wedding stories. I really love this. I think it's from the live edit menu. This like folded down version of the umbrella. I think it just looks so realistic. I know that I have one in my side yard, and it's actually very, very rarely open. So yeah, for me it's pretty realistic to have this umbrella that we actually very rarely use. And then there was also a clothesline in the backyard, but I do give the house a dryer as well. So if you do have a laundry day stuff pack, you will have the washing machine and dryer inside and also the washing line outside. So I think because, again, I was thinking that this family, these grandparents are quite traditional. They probably also are quite frugal, and maybe that also, spans to their use of electricity and water in that. I think I'm just projecting from my experience. My mum, who is older, she's so conscious of her water use and her electricity use, even though she's not exactly, like, it's not like she can't afford to just use the water she needs or the electricity she needs. She just has a very old school traditional mindset of like, you don't need to use so much water, you don't need to use so much electricity, turn everything off at the wall after you, all of these things, which I think are great attributes to have, to be honest, because they save money and also it's ultimately better for the environment. But to me, it feels like an older person mentality in general. So I think that these grandparents probably only use the dryer if they absolutely have to, like if the weather's really bad, if it's winter, etc., or if they've got loads of washing that is just piling up. The living room is cozy, I think. Cozy and a bit mismatched. I had fun just playing around with colors and different decorations. I just felt really cozy and comfortable building this home. It felt very nostalgic and somewhere where I would just love to visit and have someone bake me a tray of cookies and yeah, I think it would be great. As someone who no longer has any grandparents, it's fun to pretend in The Sims, obviously, and have my Sims have grandparents. I also use this older TV, which I can't remember off the top of my head, but I think you actually have to access it from Live Edit or Debug. But I could be wrong there. Actually, I might be giving you completely wrong advice. Ignore that. I'm not confident in what I just said. But I found a bunch of kind of more old-fashioned decorations for the wall. This older-looking fan that went up the front. Again, they wouldn't have air conditioning in this house probably. Or they do have, I think they've got like an older, rusty-looking AC unit. But maybe if it's hot, they just try and deal with the fan in the room rather than turning on the AC. They only use AC if they absolutely have to. This old tapestry. I use this older, more traditional looking wallpaper, which I think is base game. And a few other decorations that I thought worked well with these Sims in mind. This bathroom here is just the half bath, so it's just a toilet and a sink. Again, I've been pulling out some of the wall decorative items that look like there's kind of holes in the wall or bits of dirt or mold, or I didn't want this house to look dirty, but it's just worn. Houses get worn over time. They're harder to keep clean unless you've completely renovated or painted. And I don't think this family has updated things like the wallpapers and the tiling and just the furniture and that. I think a lot of it is the original stuff that they would have had when they first moved in. I apologize if you can hear my cat yowling in the background. I've got one cat in the room with me on a chair and she's asleep and she is snoring and her snore is absolutely hilarious because she's really old. She's like a 17-year-old cat, and so she has that sort of snuffly, whiny snore because she's just old and things don't work properly. And then I've got another cat down the hallway that you might have heard yowling. He's stopped now, but I think he just had the zoomies, so he's feeling a bit, he's constantly hungry. Like he shovels his food down. Honestly, I don't know how he does it, but he just opens his jaw and shovels down food. So he's probably thinking it's about time for dinner, which it's not quite, but soon. So if you hear those in the background, I've kind of stopped trying to avoid background noises like that in my recordings anymore because it's just what happens in this household at the moment. A lot of cats. Where was I? The laundry. So this is the laundry I mentioned. Washer and dryer in here with a few extra decorations just for fun, just to make it look lived in, plus a couple of laundry baskets. I don't think I put functional laundry baskets anywhere else in the house because if you place them in the laundry, in my experience at least, correct me if you've experienced something different, but in my experience, no matter where your sim gets changed in the house, if you have a laundry basket in the laundry, for example, the clothes that your sim changes out of automatically get placed in the closest laundry basket. So if your closest laundry basket isn't in the bedroom and it's actually beside the washing machine, for me, I find that far more efficient to play with laundry stuff in The Sims, because I'm not having to have my sim cart laundry back and forth from all the bedrooms all the way down to the laundry. And so this way, your sim just needs to go to the laundry and then grab the clothes from the hamper beside the washing machine and chuck it in the washing machine. Of course, I know that a lot of people abhor playing with laundry, and so you are well within your right to just delete those objects entirely so you don't have to worry about washing clothes in The Sims. That's the beauty of playing a computer game. Unfortunately, I cannot do that in real life. Now we're moving over to the main bedroom, which I decorated for these grandparents that I had in mind. I like the layout of this house though. So, if you didn't want to play with the kind of Sims that I had in mind for this house, you could totally redecorate. But I think, yeah, I'm quite happy with the layout of the house. I think it's quite nice. If you had much younger children though, it might not work so well. If you had infants or toddlers, the children's bedroom, the smaller bedrooms are upstairs, so it's probably better suited if you had a household where the youngest sim was at least a child, so that it kind of made sense that they had a room upstairs. I don't know if it quite makes sense if you would have a parent living, whose room was on the ground floor with a toddler or an infant or even a baby upstairs. Also, just gameplay wise, I think that would get a bit annoying. So you could easily redecorate if you didn't want the kind of more old-fashioned swatches that I've placed here. So this room, the grandparents' room, has a few things for a cat. It's got a little cat bed. Eventually, as well, in the corner, I put a cat tower there as well. This is quite a large bedroom, and I didn't want to overclutter it and just fill it up with too much stuff, because I always like to make my builds playable. But I find it so hard to leave too much blank space, like a big corner empty. I just cannot. I'm just compelled to put something there. Normally it's like a floor mirror or a plant or a floor lamp. But in this case, I thought it was perfect. I actually go back a bit later, I think, and I put a cat tower in that space, just outside where the grandparents' ensuite is. Upstairs, I am furnishing the 2 kids' rooms now, and I kind of went over this a little bit earlier, but they're meant to look a little old-fashioned, like some of these furnishings and items in the rooms are that have been there for 20 to 30 years, and have just kind of been inherited by the grandchildren now, but eventually they would have been the grandchildren's parents' items, with maybe some exceptions. Like this room, for example, I placed a desk with a lamp, and also that it's like a bug, like a caterpillar. I think it's a caterpillar, not terrarium, but you can raise butterflies in it, I think. I've never actually used it in gameplay, but I am familiar with it because I did get to build for the Adventure Awaits pack So I think I even placed it in one of the starter homes that I built for that pack. But, maybe there's some things in here that the grandchild has also added, maybe asked to be updated. But I wanted it to feel like the grandparents had maybe made some of the choices for the room, like this really cozy quilted blanket, some of the kind of maybe boat themed items like the floor lamp and the oars hanging on the wall. I also love this carpet. I think the carpet feels so old fashioned, kind of 90s a little bit. And then also this desk. I loved using this desk, which it's functional as a desk, but it's got all these really cool decorative items at the back of it that make it look like your Sim's really into crafting and creating things and playing around with paper art and stuff like that. So I thought that just fit well. And then the second bedroom is meant to look like the Sim is a bit younger. So there's the dollhouse, there's an activity craft table for kids, there's a toy box, there is the dog soft toy, which the name has now disappeared from my brain. It's like Mr. Ruffkins. Don't laugh at me. I know that's wrong, but something like that. And also the Void Critter machine, which I wish I played with that more often when I'm doing sort of family gameplay. It's so fun. I think every time I remember it exists, I think to myself, I really want to do some gameplay where there's a child in the household and they're really into void critters. And then I forget, and then it never happens, and then the cycle starts again. So when I was building this, I had exactly the same thought, but I have yet to actually do it. I also added a bunch of pet, animal-themed, what do you call those things that stick on the wall, like stickers for walls? The name's completely disappeared from my brain. I'm sure you're shouting it at the screen. But those things, over the years, I think the different kids that have stayed in that room have added different bits and pieces to it. And then upstairs, there's also the family bathroom. I think this is the second to last room I decorate, the last room being that little storage space, which is just beside the bathroom. And so this is a fairly sizable bathroom where there's a shower tub combo. I wanted, again, this to look quite old-fashioned, a little vintagey, some kind of older looking swatches, like they're a bit dated, definitely not modern. Using these curtains worked perfectly as well. And even this tile, which I think is from Life and Death, but it feels a little dated. So that worked well. And then this bathroom, I wanted it to feel a bit busier. So, the kids kind of just throw stuff here, and they've got their temporary things that when they come and stay with the grandparents, they're probably not having to bring everything with them. They've probably got a set of stuff at their grandparents, like a set of toiletries and towels and shampoos and all of that stuff. Maybe even sets of clothes that are here as well, it means that they don't have to kind of pack a huge bag every time they come and stay at their grandparents. Maybe they even come here just when their parents want a bit of a weekend away or a night out or something like that, a little date night. Then this is the storage room, which, I don't know, it just tickled me creating this space. It's totally useless in terms of a room. Like, I don't know what you would use this for other than to come in here and set the decorations for different holidays for the house. But I just think it gives so much personality to the space. And I loved creating it and using this kind of chipboard floor and these plain walls. Yeah, I thought it was great. So Screenshots are here in a minute. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this build. You can download it from the gallery if you'd like to place it in your game. My gallery ID is KiwiSimsKate. You can also find me on all my other socials at KiwiSimsKate, or if you want to watch me live on YouTube, KiwiStreamsKate. I'll put all the links down in the description below. Let me know what you think in the comments. Hit that like button and subscribe if you're not already, and I'll see you in the next video. Thanks everyone. Take care out there. Bye.